The Second World War sees a great number of marksmen and snipers, and even the best of them needs an accurate and reliable rifle, one that can reliably deliver the precision shot that changes the course of battle. Today, we take a look at sniper rifles that are prominently used during the first years of World War II. I'm Indy Neidell. This is a World War II special on some sniper rifles. Experiments with optical sighted rifles started in the second half of the 19th century and sparked a military interest in ultra-long-range target shooting. The development of prisms, large diameter lenses, and the introduction of the belled tube extended the visual range of the sharpshooter way beyond the limits of the regular infantryman. And together with the technical improvements in design and manufacture of cartridges and propellants, they gave birth to the modern sniper. By the end of the Great War, sharpshooters could rely on a number of accurate rifles outfitted with small and sturdy optical sights. The Gewehr 98, the Ross rifle, the Pattern 1914, the Model 1917 rifles, they all allowed the marksman to hit their targets reliably at ranges of 500 meters and beyond. While nearly all other nations withdraw their optically sighted rifles from service in the interwar years, the Soviet Union extends its marksmanship programs. By the late 1920s, they begin secretly acquiring a variety of telescopic sights from German optics manufacturers like Zeiss and Voigtlander to test them on specially selected M1891 rifles, commonly referred to as the Mosin Nagant. A breakthrough comes with the introduction of the D3 sights, which can be fitted on a two-ring monoblock attached to the left side of the Mosin's body. This goes into production as the 4x PE sights in 1932. They are still very long and heavy sights, but outfitted with a focusing collar ahead of the lens and separate adjusters for elevation and windage. By 1930, the Soviets introduced the Dragoon variant of the 3-line. Although it has lower manufacturing standards than the Tsarist version, the M1891-30 is still a reliable and accurate bolt-action rifle. It retains its pre-1917 profile with the one-piece, straight-wrist stock and 5-round box integral magazine, but uses a simplified cylindrical receiver. But though the 91-30 is soon declared approved for sniping, its PE sights are far from perfect. Poor sealing leads to fogging of the lenses, and the recoil can potentially jolt the annular collars out of focus, which of course is the last thing a sniper wants, as we all know. The improvement comes with the short body PU telescopic sight with 3.5 times magnification, which is soon standardized and mass-produced. Many Soviet snipers swear by the accuracy and reliability of the 91-30, which will become one of the most dangerous sniper rifles of this war. Another area of expertise in the Soviet Union revolves around the development of self-loading semi-automatic rifles. The gas-operated AVS-36, or Simonov rifle, is adopted in the USSR in 1936, and right from the start is considered a marksman's rifle. Chambered for the 7.62 x 54R cartridge, the detachable magazines hold 15 rounds, with a cyclic rate of about 800 RPM. Naturally, this design gives the marksman the chance to fire several shots in quick succession without the need to work the bolt by hand. However, combat in Manchuria and Finland shows several technical weaknesses. The loading mechanism is susceptible to jamming, and the rifle is generally considered too flimsy to be fired automatically. Much of its structural weaknesses can be traced back to poor manufacturing standards, and it falls out of favor with the Soviet military. It is officially retired in favor of the Tokarev, though many sniper variants still find themselves in the hands of Red Army marksmen or handed down to Soviet partisans after 1941. Gunsmiths at Tula experiment with gas-operated rifles from the early 1920s and eventually come up with the Tokarev SVT-38. It has similar dimensions to the Simonov, with an overall length of 48.05 inches and a detachable 10-round box magazine. It, too, is plagued by a range of problems and maintenance issues. For example, the upgraded SVT-40 needs to be outfitted with a magazine catch that can be folded back against the underside of the stock so that the shooter does not accidentally release the magazine in the field. Stalin personally favors the Tokarev and lays out a plan to supply the Red Army with 4.5 million SVT-40s by 1942, but the German invasion prevents this. Outfitted with a short-body 3.5 times PU sight, the Sveta is also hoped to replace the Mauser Nagant as the Red Army's designated sniper rifle. However, it doesn't take long until soldiers report unreliable accuracy, especially when firing it cold. The firing mechanism is prone to failure when covered in dust or grease, and according to Pavlichenko's memoirs, sometimes simply refuses to reload or eject cartridges when the pressure of the powdered gases changes too much. This can be explained by lower quality wartime propellants. Another problem is that the SVT's barrel is 100 millimeters shorter than the 3-line, which makes for muzzle flash and loud firing sounds. Further work has been put in during the war to outfit the SVT-40 with an improved muzzle brake and a better extraction system, but by this point, many snipers are simply going back to the more reliable Mauser Nagant. Germany withdrew nearly all of its sniper rifles during the 1930s, since the Wehrmacht puts little faith in their usefulness. The regular infantrymen go to war with the Karabiner 98K, which is fundamentally the Mauser Model 98 from the Great War. Chambered for the potent 7.92 times 57 millimeter cartridge, it is accurate, robust, and reliable. This reliability means that the early sniper conversion, the SG-98B, is mechanically identical with the infantry pattern. They simply add a mount for optical sights on specially selected rifles and modify the bolt handle so that it bends down against a stock recess. Sniper advocates in Germany have hoped to standardize the famed anastigmatic lenses of Goertz and Zeiss, but the general lack of support and Hitler's personal dislike of sniping means that they have to press virtually any sight they can get into service. This lack of standardization leads to German snipers using a large variety of different mounts and optical sights, with magnification ranging from 1.5 to 6 times. The widespread ZF-39 1.5 optics can be simply latched onto a rail on the rear sight, but those minuscule sights are basically useless for sniping. The early fixation on 1.5 times optics comes from German doctrine that designated marksmen should concentrate on pillboxes and vehicles at normal range. The heavy casualties they themselves take from long-range sniping in the Soviet Union, that catches them wrong-footed. So the ZF Kar-98, introduced after 1941, is consequently outfitted with 4 times magnification. German snipers like Hetzenauer and Allenberger, however, remark that the majority of their hits are still achieved at 400 meters or less. Long-range 1,000-meter kills with the 98 are possible, but certainly by no means guaranteed. Both the Waffen-SS and the mountain troops received Gewehr 3340 sniper versions, but these are very unpopular, mostly because of the terrible muzzle blast. After German troops encounter the Simonov and Tokarev in the field, the German Army Weapons Office approaches both Mauser and Walter to produce the now semi-automatic Gewehr 41, which can also be used by snipers. Walter has experimented with gas-operated rifles since the early 1930s, but so far has failed to produce a solid prototype. Their new G41W is designed with a muzzle cup system, known as the Bang system, which operates the bolt via an operating rod located above the barrel instead of below. It is overly complicated, especially in comparison to the more effective gas-piston system of the SVT. Regularly disassembling and cleaning the complex muzzle trap system under Eastern Front conditions is universally hated by the troops. Outfitted with a ZF-41 scope, German snipers and marksmen do now benefit from a semi-automatic with an integral 10-round box magazine. But the G41's mechanical unreliability and susceptibility to fouling make it very unpopular. Production is underway throughout late 1942, yet plans are already made to replace the G41 in favor of a better rifle. The U.S. Army left the Great War outfitted with two fine battle rifles, the M1903 Springfield and the M1917 Enfield. The Enfield is soon shelved, though, in favor of the 30-06 Springfield, which is issued to all branches of service. The Springfield Armory has experimented with optical sights since 1907. However, while the M1903 is an accurate and dependable rifle, the same cannot be said for the available telescopes. Sights many times prove unreliable or too delicate, and often must be offset considerably to the left of the bore line. For example, the provided 2.5 times Weaver scopes are not 100% waterproof and prone to fogging, which further complicates field of view issues. Still, the M1903 remains the standard gun for sniping for both the U.S. Army and Marine Corps at the start of World War II. By 1942, though, the new standardized wartime M1903A3 has been introduced, with the A4 as the designated sniper variant. Smaller changes to the A4 are that its bolt handle is bent down to clear for the telescope, and that it's fitted with a pistol grip stock. With an effective sniping range of about 550 meters, it is an accurate sniper rifle, but it really reaches its true potential with the introduction of the universal scope. These large 8 times magnification scopes, which span the length of the rifle, give U.S. snipers the edge in long-range shooting. Although never officially issued, some snipers of the U.S. Marines fighting in the Pacific carry their personal M70 rifles into battle. The Winchester Model 70 is approved in 1934, but production is officially stopped at the end of 1941 in favor of the Springfield. Many Marine snipers, however, prefer its excellent manufacturing, adjustable trigger, and controlled round feeding mechanism. Outfitted with an 8 times magnification universal sight, it is often the superior weapon in the Pacific. The Japanese Army enters their war against China armed with the 38th year type rifle. However, its 6.5mm cartridge is judged inferior when set against enemy rifles chambered with 7.9mm. By mid-1939, Japanese manufacturers are developing the new Arisaka Type 99 rifle, chambered for 7.7mm semi-rimmed rounds. A year later, they turn that into a short rifle, which becomes the new mass-produced standard even for snipers. The Type 99 sniper rifle is 44 inches long, weighs 8.78 pounds empty, and can be loaded via an internal 5-round box magazine. In theory, the excellently designed Arisaka is a natural sniper rifle. However, in practice, it is handicapped by Japan's indifferent approach to sniping in general. Not unlike the Germans, they initially see scoped rifles to be a tool of a designated marksman within a unit, not that of a long-range specialist. That's why the earlier Type 99 snipers assembled at Kokura only use 2.5 times magnification, and only later at Nagoya get the improved 4 times Type 2 scopes. But the biggest problem is that most Japanese telescopic sights lacked external adjusters, so the sniper just has to hope that the guy in the factory really did his job right when calibrating the sights. These obvious flaws in the system handicap sniping for the Japanese in the first half of the war. In general, by the end of 1942, snipers have already played a big role on the Eastern Front and in the Pacific, and as the war widens, so will the use of sniper rifles. Some of the rifles mentioned will be upgraded, other new models will be introduced later in the war, and some, like the British No. 4 Mark I, are already in limited service but will only really see action by 1943. So keep an eye out right here for Part 2. Perhaps the most successful sniper was Simo Häyhä, and he did his legendary sniper thing in the Winter War, which began when the USSR invaded Finland in late 1939. On this channel, we covered that conflict week after week after week, as it is integral to the World War as a whole. You can see how that conflict began right here, and then you can follow it to its conclusion. And you can join the Time Ghost Army at timeghost.tv or patreon.com so that we can make more hardware specials for all you hardware enthusiasts out there, and more maybe Finnish war specials for all you Finland who isn't a Finland enthusiast, right? I think we're all brothers here. We're all Finland enthusiasts. Okay, I hope my friend Teo Välimäki is out there, right? Because he just texted me before, so I got Finland on my mind. So yeah, please join the Army so we can make more of this. And since 1943 is just around the corner, if you are already an Army, please consider upping your pledge so that we can do our whole D-Day extravaganza and extra stuff like that, like some extra weekly specials. I want to do one at the end of Stalingrad, yada, yada, yada. You get the drill. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.